Most Christians believe they know how Eve was created, but the Hebrew text reveals something so profound about her formation that it changes everything we thought we knew about women, identity, and God's original design. The word used for Eve's creation appears nowhere else in Scripture for any other human being, and when you understand what it actually means, you'll never read Genesis the same way again. Before we dive into this earth-shattering revelation, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're about to uncover biblical truths that most people will never hear from the pulpit. For too long, women have been told they're secondary, an afterthought, or somehow less than men because Eve was created after Adam. But friends, this interpretation has robbed the church of understanding one of the most powerful truths about God's design for humanity. When we look at the original Hebrew text of Genesis 2 verse 22, we discover that Eve wasn't just made like Adam was formed from dust. Something entirely different happened. The Apostle Paul reminds us in Ephesians 6 verse 12 that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. The enemy has worked overtime to hide the truth about Eve's origin, because when women understand their true spiritual identity and purpose, kingdoms shake and hell trembles. Today, millions of women struggle with feelings of inadequacy, believing they're somehow inferior or that their voices don't matter in God's kingdom. But Scripture tells a radically different story when we dig into the original language, and this revelation will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered about feminine worth and divine calling. Let's examine what Scripture actually reveals about this mystery. In Genesis 1 verse 27, we read that God created mankind in His image. Male and female, He created them. Notice the plural, them. Both Adam and Eve equally bear the image of God, but their formations tell distinctly different stories. When Adam was created in Genesis 2 verse 7, the Hebrew word used is yatsar, which means to form or fashion like a potter working with clay. It's the same word used when God forms animals. But here's where it gets fascinating. When we look at Eve's creation in Genesis 2 verse 22, the Hebrew word is completely different. It's bana, which means to build or construct like an architect designs a masterpiece. This isn't coincidental. Throughout Scripture, bana is used for constructing temples, palaces, and cities, structures of significance and purpose. When God built Eve, He wasn't just forming another human. He was constructing something architectural, something foundational to His design for humanity. Look at 1 Kings 6 verse 7, where the same word describes building Solomon's temple. The house, when it was being built, was built of stone prepared at the quarry. Just as the temple was carefully constructed with precision and purpose, Eve was built with divine intentionality that goes far beyond simple formation. Even more striking, in Psalm 127 verse 1 we read, "Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain." The word for builds here is bana, the same word used for Eve's creation. God was building something eternal, something that would house His presence and purposes in a unique way. Here's the shocking truth hidden in the Hebrew text. Eve wasn't created as an afterthought or helper in the diminished sense we often hear preached. The word bana reveals that God built Eve as His architectural masterpiece, His crowning achievement in human creation. While Adam was formed from dust, Eve was constructed from living bone and flesh. She was built from life itself. But there's more. The Hebrew word for helper, used to describe Eve, is ezer, which appears 21 times in the Old Testament. 16 of those times, it refers to God Himself as our helper in battle. It's a military term denoting strength, rescue, and powerful assistance. Eve wasn't created to be Adam's assistant. She was built to be his rescuer, his strength in battle, his divine reinforcement. Think of it this way. When a master architect designs a cathedral, every stone, every arch, Every pillar serves a specific purpose in the overall structure. The flying buttresses don't exist to merely support the walls. They're essential for the entire building's ability to reach toward heaven. Without them, the whole structure would collapse. This is the picture of Eve's creation. She was built as the essential component that would allow humanity to reach its full potential, to fulfill God's mandate to be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. The enemy has tried to convince us that Eve was somehow less important, but the Hebrew text screams the opposite. She was the architectural keystone that completed God's design for human flourishing. When God said, "It is not good for man to be alone," he wasn't just addressing Adam's loneliness. In Hebrew, "not good" indicates something incomplete, unfinished. God's creation wasn't complete until Eve was built. She wasn't an addition to an already perfect creation. She was the completion of it. Now, how do we apply this life-changing truth? Whether you're a woman discovering your true identity or a man learning to honor the women in your life, here's a 3-step process to activate this revelation. Step 1. Identify the lies you've believed. Have you accepted the narrative that women are somehow secondary in God's design? Have you diminished your own calling or allowed others to diminish it? Write down every limiting belief you've held about feminine worth and identity. Recognize that these thoughts don't align with how God built Eve as his architectural masterpiece. Step 2. Find your foundational verse. Choose a scripture that declares your true identity in God's design. For women, consider Isaiah 54 verse 2. Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. For men honoring women, try Proverbs 31 verse 28. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Memorize your chosen verse and let it become your daily declaration. Step 3. Declare and demonstrate this truth consistently. Every morning, remind yourself that you are built by God with precision and purpose. When faced with situations that challenge your worth or calling, speak your foundational verse aloud. Begin to see yourself and treat others according to God's architectural design, not society's diminished expectations. Let me share what happened when Sarah, a woman in our community, applied these steps. For years, she felt called to start a ministry, but was told by church leaders that women shouldn't teach or lead. Instead of accepting this limitation, she studied the Hebrew meaning of Eve's creation and realized she was built to be an Ezer, a powerful helper in God's kingdom battles. She started a prayer ministry that has now impacted thousands of lives and broken through spiritual strongholds in her city. When you understand how God built you, you stop asking for permission to fulfill your purpose. The power isn't just in knowing this truth, it's in living it daily. Every time you declare your God-given identity, you're participating in the same creative power that built Eve from living bone and flesh. You're agreeing with heaven's assessment of your worth and purpose. If this revelation has stirred something in your spirit, if you're ready to embrace the truth about how God built you for significance and impact, I need you to type "built" in the comments below. Let's flood this comment section with declarations that we refuse to accept anything less than God's architectural design for our lives. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're just getting started uncovering the biblical mysteries that will transform how you see yourself and your calling. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth, your wife, daughter, mother, or sister who has been believing lies about her worth and purpose. And smash that like button to help spread this revelation to every corner of the internet. The enemy has worked for generations to hide these truths, but when God's people understand their true identity, revival breaks out and kingdoms are established. Friends, you were never meant to live a diminished life. Whether you're a woman discovering you were built as God's architectural masterpiece, or a man learning to honor the divine construction in the women around you, today marks a turning point. The same God who built Eve with precision and purpose has built you for significance that reaches far beyond anything you've imagined. Next week, we're going to uncover another shocking truth hidden in the Hebrew text, the real reason why God changed Jacob's name to Israel, and how this revelation will transform your understanding of spiritual warfare and victory. You won't want to miss it. Remember, transformation happens when revelation meets application. Don't just watch this video and walk away unchanged. Take the 3 steps we discussed, declare your true identity, and watch as God begins to manifest the purposes He built into you from the beginning. The truth about Eve's origin isn't just ancient history, it's your present reality. You are built by God, built for purpose, built for impact. Now go live like the architectural masterpiece you truly are. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video where we continue uncovering the mysteries that will revolutionize your faith and transform your destiny.